Have you ever really thought about how much the sky can change the whole feel of a scene? You've got your characters, the setting, the action, all that stuff. But it's the sky that can really set the mood. If you just imagine a really dramatic, stormy sky hanging over a city, it just instantly feels like something big is about to happen, right? So that's what we're going to dive into today. It's all about the power of the sky, how it can make or break a story, and how we can use it to just take our art to a whole new level. And we've got some really fascinating sources lined up that explore this whole idea. We'll be looking at everything from the emotional punch of Van Gogh's Starry Night to, how filmmakers use the sky to just totally ramp up the tension in a thriller. Oh, and we'll even touch on how AI can help us create these amazing, breathtaking skies that we can then weave into our own artwork. But one of the things that really jumped out at me is how often we as artists just kind of take the sky for granted. It's just there, right? Just a blue backdrop or a gray wash or whatever. But what these sources are really saying is that neglecting the sky is a huge missed opportunity. I mean, think about it. Think about a scene from your favorite movie. Maybe a tense standoff in a Western or something. Now imagine that same scene. But instead of that wide open desert sky, it's just flat, boring, nothingness. The whole mood just deflates, right? That's because the sky isn't just scenery, it's a storytelling tool. It's just as important as your characters or your plot. And what's so cool is that by just changing the sky, you can completely transform the feeling of a piece. You can turn a sunny day into a brooding, ominous one. Or you can make a familiar landscape feel alien and unsettling. So how do we harness this power of the sky? Well, that's where things get really interesting. One of the sources introduces this amazing AI tool called MidJourney. You can literally type in a description of the sky you want, storm clouds gathering over a Gothic cathedral, and it'll just generate this high-resolution image that you can use in your art. I mean, think about that for a second. You don't need to be a master painter or a Photoshop wizard or anything to create these incredible evocative skies. You just describe what you want, and the AI does all the heavy lifting. And it gets even cooler. You can actually use these AI-generated skies to breathe new life into your old artwork. Yeah. Those pieces you might have tucked away because they didn't quite hit the mark. Well, with a new sky, they might suddenly feel fresh and exciting again. This source actually shows an example of a digital painting that was kind of, meh. But then they replaced the original sky with this swirling, otherworldly one. And boom, it became a totally different piece, more dynamic, more intriguing, like a portal to another dimension. It made me realize that maybe our failed art isn't really a failure at all. Maybe it's just waiting for the right sky to unlock its full potential. And that's what I love about this whole concept. It's not just about technical tricks or fancy software. It's about rediscovering the magic in our own creativity and how something as simple as the sky can just change everything.
Yeah, it really makes you think, doesn't it? How often do we just kind of dismiss something as not good enough, when maybe all it needs is a fresh perspective, a new element to bring it to life.
And the sky is the perfect place to start, right? I mean, it's got infinite possibilities. But, even beyond just revitalizing old work, this power of the sky is something we can use in all our art, whether it's a painting or a photo, even a short story. One of the sources actually dives into the psychology of it all. Mm-hmm. And apparently we're wired to respond to the sky on a deep emotional level. Think about it. A bright sunny sky just makes you feel optimistic, hopeful. But a dark stormy sky, you feel uneasy, on edge. And artists have been using this connection for centuries, look at a painting like Van Gogh's Starry Night, that swirling, vibrant sky. It's not just a pretty backdrop, it's a window into Van Gogh's soul. It's expressing his emotions, his unique vision of the world. And filmmakers do the same thing. One of the sources talks about how Alfred Hitchcock used the sky in his movies to create suspense. Think about that scene in The Birds, where the sky is suddenly filled with all these menacing flocks of birds that shift from a peaceful blue to a chaotic black just. It totally changes the mood, amps up the fear factor. The source even suggests that a bland, lifeless sky can actually make a scene feel trapped, like something's missing, that emotional spark to draw you in. But a well-crafted sky, that's where the magic happens. And speaking of magic, circle back to this whole AI thing. Now, I know some people might think using AI takes the artistry out of it. But honestly, the more I learn about MidJourney, the more I see it as a tool, a collaborator even. One of the things that fascinates me is how specific you can get with your prompts. You're not just saying make me a sky. You're describing the colors, the textures, the mood you want to convey. You might even use a prompt a sunset sky with streaks of pink and orange reflecting on a calm lake or something. It's like writing poetry for the sky. And then the AI helps you bring that vision to life. And what's really cool is you can experiment with different prompts, tweak things, see what happens. You might stumble upon something totally unexpected, something even more amazing than you originally imagined. And that's the beauty of it, isn't it? It's not just about following a set of instructions. It's about pushing boundaries, playing around, and discovering new possibilities. But let's get practical for a minute. One of the sources actually walks you through the steps of using MidJourney. And it turns out it's not as complicated as you might think. You basically use this thing called Discord. You might already be familiar with it, and you type in your prompt, along with some special tags to tell the AI what you want. So even if you're not a tech whiz, you can totally get the hang of it. And the source even provides some tips for writing effective prompts, like be specific, use descriptive language, and don't be afraid to get creative. Experiment with different keywords, because the more you understand how the AI works, the more control you have over the outcome. And that's where the real fun begins, being able to fine-tune the sky, create variations, and ultimately get the perfect image to enhance your artwork. But hold on, there's more. Apparently, you can also use what are called negative prompts. So if there's something you specifically don't want in the image, like say a UFO or something, you can tell the AI to exclude it. It's like giving it a set of guidelines, making sure your artistic vision is truly captured. And then there's this thing called the Compro Creative tag, which basically tells the AI to get a little wild, to think outside the box, and generate more imaginative, unconventional results. I'm picturing some seriously mind-blowing skies with this one. It's almost like giving the AI permission to be an artist in its own right, to surprise you with something you never could have imagined. And that's what I find so exciting about this whole thing. It's not about replacing human creativity. It's about expanding it, opening up new doors, and allowing us to collaborate with technology in ways we never thought possible. It's like we've got this whole new set of art supplies, but they're digital, and we're only just starting to figure out what we can do with them. One of the sources even talks about how working with AI can actually make us better artists, like by messing around with these tools. And seeing how the AI reacts to different prompts and techniques, we start to get a much deeper understanding of stuff like composition, lighting, mood, all those things that make a piece really grab you. It's like we're learning from a master artist. But the master is this crazy smart algorithm. And it's not just about learning the technical stuff. It's about pushing our own creative boundaries. Thinking outside the box. It's like the AI is saying, hey, you know what? You can do this. You can create something totally unique and awesome. And that kind of brings us to another really cool point from one of the sources. It's this idea that going back to our old work can actually help us grow as artists. And now that we know about the sky's impact and these AI tools, we can approach those old pieces with a fresh perspective. Like imagine this, you've got this painting you were never really happy with. It felt flat and lifeless, like it was missing something. But now you can look at it and say, okay, what if I swapped out that boring sky with a killer sunset? Or maybe a starry night sky? How would that change the whole mood? How would it change the story I'm trying to tell with this painting? Suddenly, that old painting isn't a failure anymore. It's a blank canvas. It's a starting point for something new and exciting. And it's not even just about fixing mistakes. It's about seeing the potential in something we might have given up on. It's about breathing new life into our creative past. And who knows, maybe that one small change, that new sky, will spark a whole bunch of new ideas. Maybe it'll make you want to revisit other old pieces, or maybe it'll give you inspiration for completely new creations. Because that's how creativity works, right? It's a journey, not a destination. And sometimes the most unexpected detours lead to the most amazing discoveries. So what kind of story will your sky tell? Will it be a story of rediscovering yourself, of pushing your limits, of teaming up with technology to make something truly unique? I really encourage you to check out these tools, go back to your old work, and most importantly, don't be afraid to experiment and have fun. One of the sources even mentions this hashtag. It's hashtag atmospheric art, and artists are using it to share their sky-inspired creations. It's like a whole community of people exploring these ideas, pushing the boundaries of what's possible, and finding inspiration in the beauty of the sky. So go out there, create, share, and never stop looking up.